Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Seery. I'm a pediatrician with Ascension Via Christi, and today we're going to talk about pediatric airways. Well, what does that mean? Specifically, as a pediatrician, I have to help keep kids healthy. And one of the things that's unique to kiddos is normally they're the ones who get sick anytime we have a respiratory virus hanging around in our community. And that has lots of things to do with how developed their lungs are, what their neck looks like, cartilage versus bone, etc. So I'm going to talk about some of those differences today. I do want to point out really quick this amazing superpower that kids currently have. With the novel coronavirus going around and causing the infection COVID-19, here's some good news. Kids have a superpower. For some reason, this virus doesn't seem to bother them quite so badly, and it's mostly targeting older adults, though it can, of course, still infect healthy people. Here's what's important though. Even though you have this special superpower, I need you to use it wisely. Please, please, please don't come in contact with people that don't live in your house. Make sure you wash your hands a lot. If you're going to go outside and you're worried you can't maintain 6 feet from other people and you're older than 2 years old, I want you to also wear a mask. Okay, but let's talk about the pediatric airway. Here's a really cool, interesting thing. Did you know that pediatric airways are kind of like things that airplane engineers deal with? Don't believe me? Well, let's go through it. Airplane engineers are extremely familiar with the shape of an airfoil. It's kind of like a teardrop, but very flat on one side. And this is what an airplane wing looks like when you cut it in half. So when you really blow air really hard across an airfoil, the air comes along the bottom of it can move at a pretty constant speed. But the air that hits the front of the airfoil gets directed up and over the top of it. And this air has to rush very quickly to keep up at the same speed as the air below. This means you have a lot of heavy, strong pressure underneath and little bitty weak pressure up top. The difference in this pressure causes the whole airfoil to rise up, or we call that the concept of lift. This is why airplanes can fly through the sky, or it's also known as Bernoulli's principle. So this principle that we've just talked about helps me do a couple of fun things that you can do at home as well. So here's my handy dandy piece of paper. We're going to use this principle to make this paper rise even though I'm blowing down on it. Ready? So this is about my size of paper. You can do the same at home. We're going to hold it. It's going to have a little bit of a bend to it, and you're going to blow down on it really hard and watch what happens. Ooh, makes it go up. Didn't expect that, did you? We can do the same thing with a blow dryer and a ping pong ball. So here we go. The ping pong ball is able to float above the blow dryer because, again, of Bernoulli's principle. The air will flow around it, but because of the curved edges, it does create those areas of low pressure, and that helps with the lift. So you get the perfect balance between lift and the weight of the ping pong ball, so it floats. The next time you're at Exploration Place, see if you can find my 2 favorite exhibits that help to demonstrate Bernoulli's principle. But you're a doctor, not a flight engineer. That's right, I am a doctor and I have no business designing planes. However, Bernoulli's principle does apply to a pediatric airway. Let's find out how. Tilt your chin up and feel along the front of your neck. You should be able to feel an area with ridges. That's your windpipe, or also known as your trachea. Inside your trachea is your voice box, also known as the larynx. It's a combination of softer, squishier tissue, as well as muscles. And when you hum, that's your larynx working. When we're infected with a respiratory viral illness, it will cause swelling and inflammation of those soft, squishy tissues. That swelling can become quite dangerous. The areas of swelling cause the airflow to become more turbulent. You can see the air in the middle flowing along in a pretty straight line. However, the airflow along the sides has to whip around more quickly over those humps. That, of course, ends up leading to a change in pressure. The harder and harder someone pulls air into their lungs, the more and more they create that pressure differential. And that means, unfortunately, sicker people who have more swelling and are working harder to breathe are more prone to have their airway collapse in on itself. When this tends to happen, you can hear a certain noise. We call it stridor, and it sounds like this. Again, during a normal cough, cold, flu season, infants and very young children are the ones who are more likely to have these kinds of complications from a viral illness. The reason for that is because babies have a much shorter, weaker neck compared to adults. Their trachea is also held open by less mature cartilage. If you don't know what cartilage is, you can try playing with your ear and your nose. That's cartilage versus good, hard, dense bone. Babies and young children also have a lot more soft tissue. They're just kind of squishier, and that's kind of why it's so fun to hug them. They also have more lymph nodes, that's soft tissue that helps hold a lot of our fighter cells. And overall, their trachea is just going to be smaller in diameter relative to the size of, say, an adult. All of these things in combination mean it's really important that if you're feeling sick, make sure you stay away from infants and young children. I hope you enjoyed this video learning about the pediatric airway, and I can't wait till someday you too can join me for our hospital rounds together. Stay safe.